Mythbusters 101. Can you tell that a watermelon is sweet by tapping it? No. G'day guys, it's Tan the Fruit Nerd, and today we're talking watermelons. So tapping your watermelon can show that you have a strong and dense watermelon, but what it doesn't indicate is the level of maturity in the fruit, and maturity is sweetness. So if you can imagine a drum that has its skin really tightly wrapped, when you tap it, you're gonna have a nice bouncy sound. But one that is a bit more loose is gonna have a thudding sound, and that thud might represent a crack in the watermelon or a bruise. If there were cracks in a watermelon, it's only a visual thing. However, if there's a bruise, that's quite undesirable. So there is some merit in tapping a watermelon. Mythbuster number 2. The color of the skin of a watermelon doesn't show the sweetness of the fruit, and that's because there's so many different varieties and they all have different colors. Mythbuster number 3. Imperfections on the skin of a watermelon don't indicate a defect, and the soil spot where a watermelon sits doesn't represent sweetness. Whilst most of the world like to sell watermelons whole, here in Australia, 95% of our watermelons are sold cut. Now with a cut watermelon, you can actually tell if it's sweet or not. What you want to look for are the seed cavities, and there should be some granulation or sugar granulation around the seed cavity, and that will show that it's going to be a very sweet watermelon. Because 99% of watermelons sold in Australia now are seedless, these holes are actually the cavity or where the seed should have been. So that area in all fruits is generally the sweetest part. Now watermelons do ripen up after they're harvested, and they do get a darker shade of red. However, it isn't a good indication of sweetness because there are so many different varieties of watermelon that they all have different shades of colors, so it's not a hard and fast rule. A tip to find freshly cut watermelon on the day is to look at the cling wrap, because if it's tight, it means that it's been cut fresh, but if it's a little bit old, the cling wrap is a bit stretched, it could be yesterday's cut watermelon. Now, if you've bought a whole watermelon and you only want to eat a little bit, just cut what you want to eat in that sitting, because if you cut too much and you cut the whole watermelon and leave some in the fridge, the water is actually going to split from the fiber, and then you're going to have a whole bunch of water in your bowl, and the watermelon isn't going to taste as sweet or as good in a couple of hours' time. So how long can you store watermelons? Well, whole watermelons can be stored for weeks, but cut watermelon should be kept in the fridge, and they can last up to a week before you should finish it. Fruit nerd fact: seeded watermelons are only grown here in Australia to pollinate seedless varieties. Hopefully I busted some watermelon myths. Now enjoy summer.